with the Chicago Dogs. My name is Rich Janner. I'll be your host here for the better part of 45 minutes. And, with baseball being shut down here for the moment, we know we can't play baseball. I know there's some coaches on the line there that can't coach baseball, and certainly we can't watch baseball live. But the one thing that nobody can stop us from doing at this point is talking baseball. So that's exactly what we plan to do. And our very special guest here and our leadoff man for talking baseball, ironically, is a pitcher, and a pretty darn good one, a hometown hero of sorts, from not too far from Impact Field. And with us today is Casey Crosby. So, Casey, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
I think everybody knows Casey played for the Chicago Dogs and is now in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. So, again, Casey, thanks for joining us. And I know we were talking a little bit before we officially started, but, can you tell everybody kind of where you're from and maybe some of those early baseball memories, be it T-ball or, just kind of getting started in the great game of baseball?
Yeah, well, I grew up until 8th grade. I grew up in Wheaton. Ended up moving out west to Elburn, which is the Caneland area. Ended up going to Caneland High School. But childhood, I always, played for the Wheaton Briarcliff Blazers. It was basically a group of friends in the same town playing travel ball, and we were really good. So ended up moving out west, but I still played for them for one more year, and then started doing high school stuff. So yeah, it was a fun time back then.
Yeah, I know we got a number of youth baseball coaches, on the line. So, can you share maybe some experiences with those very first coaches, maybe the impact they had on you as not only a baseball player, but as a person and as a man, and maybe some things that you remember about what they said or what they stood for or how they've impacted your life?
Right. Well, my first travel coach, he was my travel coach all throughout, throughout my Briarcliff process up until high school. His name is Mike Foltz. He instilled a lot into me, especially as a person, about hard work and dedication, and just learning how to overcome adversity, as well as obviously the baseball skills that go with it. So I actually, he was my coach, and his son was on our team too. So he was one of our players' coaches, or he's one of our players' dads. I say that because I don't want to say there was a coach's son on the team, because he was really good too. He ended up playing college ball too, but he was very instilled everything in that I know about how to work through adversity and how to work hard, and just honing in my baseball skills and just my people skills too.
Yeah, those life lessons are so important at every level, because candidly, most people don't make it all the way through and end up playing pro baseball like you have and you are. But most people have a different job or be involved in some different type of career, and a lot of those life lessons are ones that stick with you for sure. So, yeah. How about some of your favorite memories, some of your favorite baseball memories, be it shenanigans on the road? I mean, kind of going back to your youth days when you first got rolling with it all.
Well, we went to Cooperstown when I was 12. It was basically a week straight of baseball and bunking with your buddies on the team. So that was best. That was like the highlight of my career. But there's all these stories. Like I said, we were really good, and we were invited to go play in a West Chicago tournament when we were 8, 9, and 10. We ended up three-peating that tournament, and rumor has it they did not want to invite us back because we dominated so much. So
there you go.
The fact of being good, and obviously you go on those one trip a year places, and you get to be at the hotel with all your teammates and just playing elevator tag and running around and causing a ruckus was obviously some great memories too.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at travel ball today, and I'm sure you kind of stay in touch with it through your past coaches and your friends, I mean, do you think it's gone too far? I mean, obviously there are some teams that are pretty much traveling every weekend, and other teams stay more local. I mean, if you were organizing a team today, what would be your approach and your philosophy to sort of how much are we going to play and where are we going to play and all those types of decisions?
Right. Yeah. I mean, everybody wants to go to that elite tournament and do that, do the select thing. It's all good and well, but at the end of the day, it's all about getting out on that field and playing, and wherever you do it is it's going to help you as long as you're getting the right coaching done, getting the right coaching and getting in the games, obviously, practice beforehand too. Going to these select, tournaments, going like hotel, it's a big major drain on the parents too. I mean, we have neighbors that, are a part of it, of the travel ball stuff. And I know that it's stressful for them, not just financially, but like finding a way to get there and, taking work off if you need to. It's easier to play people around your area and get the work in there. I honestly think so. I mean, and then it kind of desensitizes all the special travels that you're going to have. If you're doing it every weekend, it's not special.
Right. Yeah. And keeping perspective, keeping balance is obviously so important. I imagine you probably don't remember the score of some game when you were 10 years old, but what you do carry with you is those friendships, those relationships, those lessons, and of course your skill set in baseball. So, Casey, just about every kid out there dreams of being drafted into pro baseball and being in pro baseball. And obviously you've made it all the way through and you're there. I guess at what point in your development did maybe a light bulb go on and you're thinking, hey man, maybe I can really make a living out of this and be a pro player? I mean, at what point did it really hit you that you had something special here?
When I was 12, my Coach Fultz would say, you have the ability to be drafted. I mean, I have older brothers who, one was drafted in baseball out of high school. One played football in college. But when I really realized that this is probably going to happen was the winter of my junior season. I finally got clocked on a radar gun at 88 miles an hour. And that was probably one of the best days of my life, baseball wise, because I realized how rare that is. I mean, keep in mind, this is back in 2005, where not everybody who was in the big leagues threw 93, 94 miles an hour. You see lefties all the time that threw 88. So when I hit 88, that's probably what changed for me. Like, okay, I'm going to play baseball for a living, most likely, or, barring injuries and all that. So. And
for anyone out there that may not have seen you pitch or play, I mean, what's your style? Are you more of a power pitcher or more of a Greg Maddux finesse type guy, or what's sort of your style for anyone out there that may not have been so fortunate to see you out there?
Definitely a power pitcher. Being a lefty power pitcher, I can, light up the velocity gun a little bit more than 88 these days. I hit 100 miles an hour in spring training this spring. I sit anywhere from 96 to 98, 95 to 98. But yeah, power pitcher, curveball, cutter now. I just developed a cutter this spring training because the Dodgers said that I would be best with my arsenal. So.
Sure. And just why don't you walk us through the process of being drafted? I mean, how did it go? Did you get a phone call? Did you know it was coming? I mean, tell us about that whole moment and how that kind of came across.
Yeah, when I was drafted, it was 2007, and they had a lot of different rules back then. They had basically free reign on who they wanted to sign and for how much. There was no cap for the draft, like it is now. So you have 30th rounders signing for $1 million, which is crazy. So for me, the day was pretty exciting, and teams started calling me in the second round. Well, it was while the supplemental picks were going on. They were calling me to maybe pick me in the second round, but they were giving me offers that I knew that I could have a better chance of. I had a better opportunity to go to school, which was the University of Illinois. So they started, offering me certain rounds, certain picks, certain money, and I said, and I told them I wouldn't sign for that, so they wouldn't draft me. Then, obviously the Tigers got me in the 5th round. Never even knew that they were on my radar, on the radar there. So it was kind of out of nowhere, and it was really exciting. So it was definitely a fun time.
That's great. great story, and congratulate you on all that. Again, all these kids out there are wanting to be
Back
right
in
where.
Stone Age, it feels so long ago. It's 13
Yeah,
years ago. It's crazy.
time flies.
Yeah.
Time flies, absolutely. But as you kind of look back at your development that got you to that point, I mean, I know one of the hot topics today is sports specialization. Do you want to be a baseball only guy, or do you want to stick with basketball or football or other sports? And at what point do you specialize? So,
Yeah.
what worked for you as far as other sports? I'm sure you were a talented athlete at other sports as well growing up. What worked for you, and what would you kind of recommend for either a dad that might be listening or his son that's thinking, man, I love basketball, I love football, I love it all, but maybe baseball's my sport?
Well, do what you want, whatever makes you happy, because you're only a kid once, and once it stops being fun, that's when you're burnt out and you don't have the passion for it. If you don't have the passion for it, you're not going to get better. I mean, that's just what it is. I played football in high school, and I was, pretty good standout. I had offers to go play. So I even played my senior year when there were some scouts that said that wasn't a good idea. I played it because I wanted to, and it was fun. I had so much fun playing football. But as for kids that are, going into high school or just before high school, if you really love that sport and you don't like any other sport that you want to play, that you've been playing, then yeah, you can specialize. That's fine. But if you're somebody that's like, I got to make a choice between these two, you don't have to make a choice. Like, you can do both. They're during different seasons. And I know myself, if I ever did a specialization where I was 12 years old playing one sport, I mean, I love baseball. By the end of the season, early August, I'm like, when is football season? Because I want to play football now. But that's just me. It's whatever you want to make. Whatever makes you happy is whatever you're going to be passionate about, and it's whatever you're going to work hardest at.
Yeah, and you learn different ways to compete and hear from different coaches and different perspectives and different training regiments and all that type of thing. So
Keep that athleticism.
Since we're talking football for a quick second, I mean, we know the hot topic in football and in youth football in particular is concussions. And, as it applies to baseball, the equivalent of that is arm safety and arm care. And we're in the pitch count era and everything along those lines. So, what are your thoughts on this whole concept of pitch counts and arm safety and pitchers being overused? Were you ever overused as a pitcher, and how did you deal with those types of things, or what would you recommend to coaches related to this?
Yeah, well, Coach Foltz was probably ahead of the game at this time. He kept us within a certain pitch limit. I never pitched a complete game, no matter how good I was, how well I was doing. He would take me out after, I think the cap was 4 innings, honestly. So he's ahead of the curve there, and I totally agree that pitch counts on players and limiting their amount of use is definitely good for the game. I mean, it's what the major leagues do now. You see all these specializations and all these starters that are only going twice through the order and then give it to the bullpen. I mean, it's the way the game is now, and you should get used to it. Yeah,
related to both pitching and specialization, you hear about the concept of a pitcher only, which is somewhat of a new term. I mean, years ago, if you think about, we just celebrated National Babe Ruth Day. You think about Babe Ruth, here's a standout pitcher, standout hitter. At what point do you, either for yourself or would you recommend, someone consider just forgetting about leaving the bat at home and basically just being a pitcher only, or, do you advise continuing to hit through high school or as long as you can, or what would you say on that?
Absolutely, as long as you can. When they say you're not good enough to hit at this level, then stop doing it. You're not good enough to do that, then that's when you're like, all right, well, I'll do that then. It should never be a choice. It should never be a choice to say, I only want to pitch. I mean, it could be your choice to do that if you don't like hitting, which I've never met a guy that likes baseball that doesn't like hitting. So all pitchers like hitting. We take pitchers BP, and it's like the greatest day of the season. So it should never be a choice if you should choose to just pitch, because it's part of the game, and once they say you're not good enough to hit here, then do it, and you're like, fine, so.
Yeah, especially with today's bats. I mean, those things are phenomenal. They're like a weapon. How could you not want that in your hand?
Yeah, I just won one the other day. I was like, man, these are so much lighter than wood bats.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, obviously you've had a great career as you look back here, even though you're still obviously a young guy. Anything you would do differently, or, if you kind of had it all over again, for someone that, might be 10 years ago, so maybe someone that's just a young player out there that's trying to be like you and idolize you, what would anything you would do differently coming on up?
Yeah, I would just say, don't do what you think is right for your career. I don't want to say don't listen to people that are in your ear, but at the end of the day, it's your career, and whatever you think is going to help with that, do that. And there's a way to go about talking to your coaches, saying that if you don't agree with something, respectfully saying that, I don't agree with this because of this reason, or saying, why do we do this in a respectful manner? That's the best thing. That's the best, thing that you could do, is because like there's so many people in your ear once you get to pro ball telling you things that you should be doing, things that you shouldn't be doing. And, you got to siphon through it and say what's best for my career. Cause that to them, you're just a number. You're just, you're disposable, really. I mean, it's just the bottom line. If you're going to get outs this way, then do it.
Gotcha. Now let's maybe shift gears to your time with the Chicago Dogs. I personally think Impact Field is one of the most beautiful baseball fields anywhere. It's obviously received a ton of different awards. Tell us, a little bit about playing at Impact Field and what you thought of that place when you first rolled up and showed up there.
Yeah, it's a blast. It's fun time seeing those airplanes going over your head and seeing 294, all the busy cars on the busy road of 294 in left field. It was fun playing there. We had a great hitting team, so we were able to hit a lot of home runs over, near I-294. But just showing up to the field every day was just a blast, because it's a new park, but not only is it new, but it's really nice. I mean, our bullpen's nice. Obviously, I'm in the bullpen for most of the game, sometimes all the game, and it's a really nice bullpen. And yeah, it's a great place.
Seems like the playing surface itself would go up against any major league park, in that regard.
Yeah, I agree. There wasn't really many bad hops throughout the year that I can remember. It's definitely not Sioux Falls, because that one is pretty much the opposite.
Well, we'll hope no one from Sioux Falls is out there listening right now, but probably not. Let's talk a little bit about independent baseball in general. I mean, obviously you've been involved in affiliated baseball and Major League Baseball and independent baseball. I mean, what are some things that really differentiate independent baseball, compared to affiliated baseball? Maybe, what's some major differences for you?
The big difference is the amount of eyes that are on you and the amount of people telling you what to do. When you're in independent ball, it's your career. It's you do what you want, what's best for you. Obviously you got older guys in the American Association that they know their routine. They know what they need to do to get ready. You're basically on your own. So you learn to be your best coach and how to care for yourself the best way.
Yeah. Tell us about the league a little bit. You have some players, as you started to describe, that are, coming up from the ranks of Major League Baseball or down, either which way. I mean, tell us a little bit about the dynamic of the types of players in the league.
Definitely the most dynamic league I've ever been a part of. You got a guy like Carlos Zambrano, who has 12 years of Major League time, who's, a veteran. And you got 21-year-olds like that are just coming out of college that are good enough, but they just don't have that seasoning yet. So it's a big range of age group that it's just like the major leagues, really. You got young guys, you got old guys, you got experienced guys, you got inexperienced guys, and it's a really good dynamic. And that's probably why they have those rules that set in place for rookies and guys with so many innings or so many at bats. And then you got veteran guys, they have to have a minimum requirement. So it's a good dynamic.
Yeah, I caught a number of games out there last year, and it just seems like the family atmosphere is a little bit different. You can have a little more flexibility to have fun with the crowd and that type of thing. Does your family ever get a chance to make it out and see you play? Or
Yeah, all the time. They like night games the best. My kids, they're 6 and 3. They like to go to night games. They don't like being too hot. My 3-year-old still kind of doesn't really watch the game, but they have a lot of fun when they're there. They got a million pictures with ketchup, with ketchup and mustard, and they wherever they go, they try and get the mascot to see them, and they can take a picture with them and hug them. So
I'm sure they like the fireworks and all the other stuff that goes on there as well. So, but
oh yeah, his name's Squeeze. Sorry.
I hear him in the background there.
Yeah, she wanted to correct me. She's upstairs right now.
Very good. Very good. I guess the last thing with regard to, Impact Field, the Chicago Dogs, independent ball. I mean, why any fans out there that might be listening, I mean, why should they be a fan of the Dogs? Why should they be a fan of the team? Why should they care?
Because I think that it's the heart of, like, it could be the heart of Chicago. They're the Chicago Dogs, like, Chicago style hot dog. They got the Chicago colors. We're right there in the hub of, O'Hare Airport and 294. It's really bustling there. A lot of fun things to do, especially in Rosemont. And the field, incredible talent. We had, Keon Barnum, who set the record for AA home runs, who got signed by the Nationals, and we're going to bring some they're going to bring some heavy bats to the lineup. And Butch is, one of the best managers in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about playing for Butch. I mean, for those folks that don't know, obviously he managed the Boston Red Sox, and veteran guy, knows a lot of people, knows the game. Tell us a little bit about playing for him and maybe his style and that type of thing.
Yeah, his experience obviously speaks for itself. All the, affiliated jobs he's had. But the one thing that I love most about him is how well he treated us. He treated us like family. He cared for us, and you wholeheartedly knew he was there, for us. And I love playing for those kind of guys. They're going to be there for you, and then that makes me trust them and relaxed and be able to just get the job done.
Yeah, before we officially started, I think you were talking about the balance of guys on that roster that were kind of Chicago area, local type guys versus guys that might be from Texas or Florida or California.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that balance.
Well, and in my opinion, Midwest people are the best people. So everybody was just awesome from the get-go. From the day I showed up, everybody just meshed really well. We had DJ Snelton, who's from up north. We had Rich Mashiri, who's up north. We had Austin Wright, who's up north. We have me, who's out west. Ben Allison, who's out west. So we get a lot of local guys that could just drive there from their house, their off-season house. So it was definitely a lot of fun, and it was probably one of the best fun I've had in a summer.
Sure. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's next for you. What are I think you mentioned you were on a Zoom call with the Dodgers. What are they telling you as far as, hey, when we're getting back to baseball and what you should be doing, and what are you hearing at your level?
Yeah, we have weekly Zoom calls. It's mainly mental skills, because everybody needs it these days with staying home as much as we can and trying to get the work in. It's all about being able to overcome adversity and being able to put all the distractions, all the frustration, I guess, about not playing, and being able to still stay ready for when they call us back. Then we have pitchers meetings where we do development stuff where we're breaking down hitters, we're asking how our throwing is going and what we're working on, and those are smaller groups where we just talk. But the big meeting today was about mental skills, and that's when the whole AAA work group is on the call, and we're listening to our mental skills coach.
Yeah, one of the things I learned as a coach is, man, the mental part is so important, especially in something like pitching. Are there any resources that either books, videos, or experts, any coaches that might be listening that you sort of subscribe to or recommend as far as the mental part of the game?
No, I don't really read into those books about mental skills because I think all mental capabilities are different for each player. So it's all about talking to people that are knowledgeable about it and asking them about certain things that you're curious about. I'm fortunate enough to have guys like that in the Dodgers organization. I had it in the Twins organization, and even just talking to people that you love and trust about the mental skills aspect of it. It's very beneficial for you to develop as a player.
And then as far as, getting ready for the season physically, I mean, what types of training are you doing? I'm assuming from home or whatever to stay sharp and stay ready so that when you get the call, you're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm throwing with a kid from NIU right now who's plays baseball there. Being able to go to a park and do it and not get shut down, which is good. Just getting my running in, getting my lifting in, whatever I can. It's almost kind of like a prison yard workout where you're just got these heavy weights and you're just lifting them. You're doing push-ups, you're doing sit-ups, all this ab workout stuff. I honestly, being 31, the lifting part is more for me just kind of a maintenance thing. I don't really need to build as much as another person does. I'm just more about stretching and keeping everything loose.
And what about some goals for the season here? What are you thinking, in terms of your goals for the season? What level are you at right now? And, where you aspire to go?
Yeah, I was working with the AAA group, going over for major league games every so often, and got into a couple of them this spring. So I just want to contribute whatever I can at the big league club, being able to, throw the ball well, keep throwing it well, keep it consistent, and hopefully get a chance up there. I just want to contribute whatever I can, even if it's at AAA and doing, just getting the job done. Really, that's what it's about.
Yeah, one of my short-term goals is to try to get a haircut. I'm in pretty bad shape here. Fortunately, I got my red Chicago Dogs hat here to kind of get me through until they open up the barber shop again.
Yeah, you kind of blew it though. You showed everybody your hair.
Yeah, I mean, are you cutting your own hair, or how are you getting by?
My wife's a hairstylist, so she's been cutting it. She usually does women's hair. She does color, but she makes the exception for me.
Yeah, if she's willing to do a back alley haircut, I might be in real desperate shape here in the next couple of weeks. But at this point, I wanted to open up for some questions from any of the folks that might be out there. So we've got a little Q&A box here. I'm going to take a look at here. All right, here's a question from Brian, and then we'll kind of just bounce around here all over the place. But Brian asked, what drills can kids do to strengthen their arms and, drills that help to increase velocity? And obviously you're a power pitcher, so you might be a good person to answer that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I honestly, I didn't get my velocity by doing all these drills and stuff. I got it just through growing and developing as a strong and having a lot. Genes probably had a lot to do with it, but there is proven facts that there are certain ways that we can gain velocity, which is doing arm bands, the J bands, Jobs, and doing arm maintenance stuff, and then just throwing long toss, throwing as much as you can. Really, that's what's gonna loosen up your arm. Get you more external rotation in that shoulder, and it's gonna get you more consistent on that mound. And honestly, every kid is different with drills. Every kid has different tendencies of things they do that lead to a decrease in velocity. They're not maxing out their velo. There are certain things that are keys to being able to throw hard, and it just depends on the kid, really.
Yeah, I know there's it seems like every week that goes by I get an email about some weighted ball program. I mean, do you subscribe to those types of things or opposed to that? Or
I believe in them.
Is a big part.
Yeah, I believe in weighted balls, but there's a right time to do it and a right way to do it. And if you're a 12-year-old trying to do weighted balls, it's not going to work out unless you're strong enough and you're got the right mechanics for it. Really, it's really more for older guys, like later in high school, in my personal opinion. But when you got like 12-year-olds doing it, 14-year-olds doing it, they don't know how to throw. They don't really know how to throw a ball. Honestly, they don't know how to throw it properly. They don't know how to do it in a manner that's going to keep them healthy. It takes body recognition, and it takes really just feeling being hurt to realize, wow, that doesn't feel good. So I should probably do something else. That they're not going to do that because they're so young and so fresh. That's just, they're going to do whatever feels right to them.
Yeah, and hopefully if you're 10, 11, or 12 years old, you're thinking more about throwing strikes and throwing hard. But of course, everyone wants to light up the gun here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Master the strike zone first, for sure.
There you go. Here's another question here. This is from Chris, and Chris wants to know, what teams did you play for in your career? I'm assuming he means what MLB teams. I know you mentioned the Twins and the Dodgers.
Yeah. I was drafted by the Tigers in 2007, played in A-ball in 2009 and 2010, Double-A in 2011, Triple-A and the big leagues in 2012. So I was there for 7 years, from 07 to 14 to 2014. I actually got signed by the Red Sox for the 2015 season, but injuries started happening a lot, and they released me. And that's when I was kind of SOL when it came to my arm. So I took time off, and I went to school and got my degree from NIU. Actually, while I was in school, I tried to make a comeback. I talked with my wife, Haley, about, what I should be doing, because I wanted to come back. I wanted to come back. And so we talked about it, and we said, why not? What would it hurt if I just tried? So 2017, I started training again and ended up going to the Lincoln Salt Dogs in the same league as the Dogs. And then that's where the Twins signed me for the 2018 season, where I played in Triple-A and Double-A. And then 2019, obviously, I was with the Dogs because I had surgery at the end of the year on my elbow. That was the reason why I took that time off, was because I needed that surgery. So I ended up getting that surgery and signing with the Dogs, and here I am with the Dodgers now after a good season with the Dogs.
That's awesome. No, that's awesome. What are your feelings about this is from Jim, by the way. What's your feeling on the upcoming shortened season here, and how the whole thing might unravel?
Well, I know the players union and the owners have to come to an agreement first, and I know that the commissioner's office and the owners have agreed to it. We shall see what happens in negotiation, but there's just too much on the line for there not to be a season. So there's definitely going to be a season, in my opinion. Stakes
are pretty high. No, I would agree. Yeah. Here's another question. What has been your best moment or your best memory in all your years of baseball?
Let me think here. I'd say making my major league debut. It was a Friday night against the Yankees when they were, loaded with Jeter, Teixeira, Cano, Granderson, right, A-Rod. It was definitely crazy. I mean, that day leading up was crazy.
Which of those guys did you face? Did you face some of those guys? Or?
All of them. I started the game, so I faced all of them. Jeter was my first at bat of my big league debut. So he hit a single off me, a 3-2 single.
Wow.
Yeah, it's okay.
Welcome to the big leagues there, huh?
Yeah. Well, the grand slam in the second inning was my really my welcome to the big leagues. Granderson hit it off me.
Another Chicago area guy.
Yeah, that's true.
You guys stay in touch at all, or you stay in touch with some of these other players, or?
Yeah, I mean, some of my former teammates that I went through the farm system with, I still keep in contact. Guys that I was with the Twins with, I was with the Twins, and obviously, a bunch of the Dogs guys I still talk to. So I worked out with Jordan Dean in the off season at Athletes HQ in Elgin, where that's where he runs a facility. So that's where I worked out in the off season.
Right. So Ronnie wants to know just a little bit about the path from independent baseball to Major League Baseball. So in what way did the league or the Dogs organization help you get recognized or get signed by the Dodgers?
I know Butch talks to a lot of scouts, and he kind of coordinates what guys are going to be throwing. So there are some games where, say, a scout wants to see a player, Butch will get that player in the game, and like a relief guy or whatever. So that's kind of what they do. and they, do a good job. Obviously, we got DJ Snelton with the Rays. We got Keon with the Nationals, and then I'm with the Dodgers. So we had a pretty talented team to get 3 guys out of indie ball.
For sure. And then a couple similar questions from, I'm assuming coaches here, Jeremy and RJ are both kind of wondering, what your favorite specific drill, and then a specific drill related to accuracy for young players who are just trying to throw strikes.
Yeah, a drill I do is just my dry throw off the mound, but my main focus is staying on my back leg, staying on my post leg, being able to ride that out, because that's what's going to get you that explosion off the mound. And me personally, I know I've had a problem of flying off that mound, flying off that rubber, and getting it too far out in front and having my arm drag. So that was the big thing for me that I needed to recognize. So I do that all the time. For accuracy, it's just when you play catch with a purpose. I see all these kids these days just throwing the ball around, not really thinking about anything, just not really even stepping and just kind of throwing the ball around, a little laziness. Just focus on your craft when you're doing it. When you're playing catch, just say, I'm going to hit this little target on his chest, or I'm really going to lock in and focus on my mechanics and being able to deliver the pitch.
Yeah, doing things with a purpose and not just going through the motions out there is obviously huge.
Yep.
Denise wants to know, what is your favorite pitch to throw?
Fastball. There's nothing better than striking a guy out, swinging on a fastball, because guys are sitting fastball usually with me, and when they strike out, it means that they just can't beat me.
There you go. All right, just a couple more questions here as we wrap up here. Here's a good one from Richard. What hitter did you fear most? Maybe you don't want to answer that one.
I'm trying to think here. I didn't really fear anybody. I mean, I didn't really. You can't be scared on the mound. You can't have that oh crap moment. You when you're out there, you're like, you have to say to yourself, I am the best, and believe it. So I can get anybody out.
Yeah, I got another question from Ryerson that's basically very similar. How should you approach a good hitter? And it's kind of like what you just described.
Yeah, you're gonna have a scouting report probably, and just attack them really on that scouting report.
Very good. All right, let me see here. I want to make sure we don't miss any. Man, we got a lot of questions here. Favorite moment from your time with the Dogs at Impact Field?
We played a lot of cards. So all the card games that we played, I mean, we played a lot of cards where we were before the game on the bus, all these card games. We played a lot of cards.
There you go. Kurt wants to know, how much did you pitch when you were younger? Was it your primary position? What other positions you might have played?
Yeah, well, I was a lefty. Up until I was 12, I was a shortstop. And then I moved to the outfield when I was after that, because I knew that, at some point once I got to high school, it was going to happen. So I was like, me and Coach Fultz, he moved me to center field mainly, and that's kind of all said and done. And I was a good pitcher too. Actually, between my freshman and sophomore year, I played for the Bulls Sox Academy team, and they didn't even know I pitched until like one of the last tournaments, which was crazy to me. I didn't do my best job of promoting myself. I was just, a kid that, on a new team, but, I was only in center field. They didn't know I pitched until like the last tournament. So yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, you still see a few left-handed shortstops and left-handed catchers out there in the travel ball world, but not so many these days.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to one more question here before we sign off. And this one you might have covered a little bit already, but this is from RJ. What do you do after a game? How do you unwind, or after the last out is recorded? What do you do?
Well, we get a bite to eat after the game, or say if I'm out in there early, I just chill with the guys. I mean, I get a quick bite, I talk to them, and then when especially when I was with the Dogs, I had a 45 15-minute drive home, so I could just unwind that way. It's like going home from work, being able to unwind. On the road, you just, you talk to the guys, you play cards, you do whatever to just chill, really.
Yeah, well, hopefully the American Association season will be back going by early July is kind of what we're hearing. And hopefully you guys at your level will be rocking and rolling here soon as well. But, that's all the time we have for today. So really wanted to thank you, Casey Crosby, for joining us here. And I think it's pretty clear that in addition to being a great talent, you're also a great person and
I appreciate that.
Person of high character. And that's so important. And our next episode of Talking Baseball will be with a father and son combo, Butch and Kc Hobson. As everybody knows, Butch is the manager of the Chicago Dogs, and his son Casey Hobson is new to the roster. That will be May 27th, exactly 2 weeks from today, also at 4:30 p.m. And we'll get an invitation out. Hopefully you can join us there. And as everyone signs off today, a quick 5-question survey will pop up. Since this is our first episode, we're interested in hearing what you think and how we can maybe do better and get your feedback. And so with that being said, thanks again for joining us. Until next time, remember, take a bite and no ketchup. Have a good day, everybody.
See y'all.